Treat that woman, baby, like she was a paradise.
Chapter 2 of the story, Fighting for Her. In this chapter, Steve keeps thinking about Peggy. Then Charles Beckett comes up with an idea how to win her over. Will it work? Steve Rogers lay on his bed in the barracks he shared with Beckett. There were a lot of barracks in the camp, so he shared one with his new friend, Charles Beckett. His mind drifted off to Peggy Carter. He didn't deny he liked her. He knew for sure he did like her. He thought of her as his perfect partner. But he didn't know how to talk to a woman. That was a fact. But his friend Beckett wanted to help him with that. He didn't know why he was so nice and wanted to help him win Carter's heart. Beckett told him that Hodge took the love of his life and wants to make sure that Steve doesn't go through the same pain he did. Just that moment, Charles walked in. "Hey, pal, still thinking about Carter, no doubt?" he asks. Steve nods. "Yee, man, I just can't stop thinking about her," he says. He closed his eyes and let his mind drift away. He was alone in his barracks. He was dressed in formal clothing. Then a silhouette appeared at the door opening.
"Ready for our dance, Mr. Rogers?"
the voice said, and Peggy Carter came out of the shadows, dressed in an eye-blinding red dress with her hair loose. She slowly walked to him. Steve was amazed by her beauty, and that all for him. Steve kept sitting on his bed, unsure what to do. She took out her hand before him.
"Are we still going to dance, or what?"
she asks. Steve stood up, took her hand, and walked to the center of the barracks. She took his arms and laid them on her waist, before laying her arms around his neck. They slowly started to dance. If this was a dream? Steve didn't want to wake up. Her head moved further to his. Steve felt her lips pressing to his in a blazing kiss. And then all of a sudden, Steve Rogers shockingly awakened. He sat up from his bed and saw Charles at the door opening of the barracks. Dang it! Why did I had to wake up out of that wonderful fantasy? Steve yelled. Charles turned around and looked at him. Dude, relax, you get more. If she doesn't end up in Hodge, his filthy hands, he says. Steve still thought about what Beckett told him. About his girlfriend? He wanted to know more, but he wasn't sure if Beckett would tell him, since it was kind of close to him. Charles, may I ask what happened to your girlfriend? He asked it friendly. Charles looked up. His face had a sad expression. He walked towards Steve and sat down on his own bed. It happened 3 years ago. Me and my girlfriend were walking home after a date, and then Hodge showed up, he said. Steve listened carefully. He started to flirt with my girlfriend. And I'm not that much of a fighter, so I couldn't really do anything. He took her hand and ran away. I tried to follow her, but she yelled not to worry. She told me she came back as soon as she got away from that creep. So I went home. That's where I made the mistake. The next morning I woke up. She still wasn't there. Since I knew where Hodge, his place, was, I went there. Then I saw something truly horrifying. Steve saw a tear appearing on Charles, his cheek. She laid there on the ground, hurt and violated. I tried to help her, but she knocked my hand away and cried. She said she was too ashamed to look into my eyes again, and then she left. Charles cried a little. For those years I sought her. I looked for her, but sadly no avail. Steve felt pity for him. This was a fate so harsh, you would wish it to no one. So that's the reason I help you. Not only so what happened to me also happens to you, but to get revenge on Hodge too. Steve didn't know what to say, but then a bouquet with azaleas was shoved into his hands. go to Carter's cabin and lay these before a door. Steve was kind of surprised. Wait a minute, is this the plan you've been talking about? Flowers, I could have thought of that, he said. Charles smiled. Yes, but you didn't. You must lay them in front of a cabin when it gets dark, he said. I think that you should do it, Steve says, and hands him back the flowers. But Charles doesn't take them. It doesn't mean anything if it's coming from me. You have to do it yourself. But don't say you did. Keep it a secret for a while, in case she doesn't like it. Steve wasn't entirely sure he had to agree with the plan. It was simple and effective, but how the hell would he know if she liked it? Hey, pal, if it's too much to ask, I go with you tonight. Deal? Steve looked at Charles. Deal, man! Steve didn't know what he actually had to do until it was night. So he laid down on his bed and picked up where he left off. The kiss was pure and beautiful. Steve couldn't believe it. This moment was too good to be true. Their lips parted.
You are great,
She says, and lays her head on his chest. He thought things couldn't get any better. But he was pushed to the ground and saw Hodge taking Peggy in his arms and forcefully kissing her. Peggy tries to pull away, but he is too strong. The rest becomes a blur for Steve. He wakes up with Charles looking at him with a questioned look. All right, I'm going to take Hodge down. Chapter 2 is done. I really want to thank everyone who reviewed and favorited my stories. You are all amazing. I never thought people would like my stories that much. I thank all of you, and you all deserve my respect. I will upload Chapter 3 when I have time. It will take a while, but I promise it will come. See you all later.